Hi, everyone. Welcome back to the program. We're fast approaching the halfway point of our show, which is leading us to our morning discussion. And this is something that has been widely discussed on social media, although new to me. It's called Erotomania. Caroline, have you ever heard of this?
It is new to me also. I'm not aware about this term, so I did Google it. So it says right here when it's typical, whether men or women have an illusion that someone else is falling in love with them.
Really?
Whether it's true or not. So, but some people would mistake this erotomania with overconfidence when it's a sub of a mental health disorder. But we're going to dive more about erotomania. Now join with us personal growth clinical psychologist Mutiara Maharini. Good morning, Mutiara.
Good morning.
Thank you so much for being here with us.
Good to see you again.
Love.
Really nice
Happy
to be
belated
here
New Year.
again.
Yes, very smiley. Even in like our studio is full with like romance. Because we are talking a bit about romance right here. So please do explain with us, because I did Google it, and of course this is something new for Paul and myself also. The psychiatry definition of this condition, erotomania, what is it?
Okay, so erotomania is actually a subtype of a delusional disorder.
Okay.
So it's a delusion. And the delusion is where somebody believes that it's usually somebody with higher social status. It could be your boss, it could be a celebrity, it could be the president, the queen, is in love with you or infatuated with you, even though there is no evidence at all.
Right, basically it's that. Sometimes right, the king and the queen would convey a message, right, to its people, and you would think it's only for me.
Okay, that's a bit of a stretch for me, because I find this one is a little bit hard to wrap my head around, because if you feel like somebody that you know may be in love with you, that's one thing. But infatuation and love, that's like a whole different, like that's a next level thing.
It's really intense.
Especially when this person doesn't even know you, if they're a big celebrity or something. So can you tell us, like, is this actually a scope? Is this actually a wide range where it could happen between, let's say, two colleagues or friends, and stretch all the way to like or is this specifically only for that high level infatuation for people they don't know?
Okay. So erotomania is only for the people who there's really no evidence at all. You don't know them, and it really causes. It really is something unrealistic, because like if you're friends, then there might be a possibility there, right?
True.
So it's not a delusion. Maybe you're overconfident, but it's not a delusion.
Reading the signals wrong.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
Because the thing about having a delusion is that no matter what evidence people tell you, you will be fixated on it. Yeah.
Okay.
Like, you say you don't love me, but I know you love me.
Oh, wow. Okay.
That's the word intense comes from, right?
Yes.
Okay, so now that's why I see a lot of this, especially like musicians. They have like people, kind of being, not attacking them, but they're watching over their favorite musicians or actress outside of their homes, and trying to do stuff that scare them, but actually they're infatuated by them. They want to be a part of their lives.
And now that you mentioned musicians, so we have many friends that are musicians. One of the things that musicians do as well is when they're performing live, they actually make eye contact, and this is part of being your stage presence, right? So if you make eye contact with you're laughing at this, but it's true. Make a fan or someone, they'd be like, "Oh my God, he's looking right at me."
Chris Martin was so far away from me, but when the jumbotron looked at me, I felt like he's talking to me. I felt like that. But this is an alert, because this is an important condition also. Let's talk back about this. So what makes a difference between someone that's overconfident? Because you touch a great point right there, P. If like you have a superior in your office and he's just being nice to you, but you thought that he's giving you that kind of signal. So what differentiate this, and how can we, kind of like topple this situation?
Somebody can just be like overly confident, right? You mentioned that earlier.
Well, again, it's about having the delusion. That's the only difference, really. Because overconfidence is you're overestimating, you might think, you're analyzing someone, you think that, oh, he looked at me for 1 second, that means he's in love with me.
1 second longer.
1 second longer, right? And then he winked at me when actually maybe there's something wrong with his eye, right? But the thing about having erotomania, it's very, very serious. So it's a lot more intense than that. You really believe that somebody is in love with you when you have not even met them.
Okay.
Right.
I mean, not even online.
Yes.
So
Not
it's
even a chat, not even a message.
not even
nothing.
anything.
Okay, so all jokes aside, I mean, how does this even happen? I mean, we laugh about it, but
Yeah.
but this
Yeah,
is
yeah,
actually
yeah.
actually happening to
Yes.
people. We've apparently seen it on social media as well. So how does this come about? How does somebody develop erotomania?
Yeah, so when we're talking about disorders, there's always the biopsychosocial factors.
Okay.
First of all, the biological factor. This is something that is genetic.
Is it?
There's actually brain abnormalities and some neurotransmitter deficiencies, but it's something that is still, psychology is quite new, right? So it's not really well researched yet.
Okay.
The second thing is the the psychological factors. Usually people who have schizophrenia, bipolar, or a depression are more prone to having this kind of delusion.
Yeah.
But it actually roots from a lack of self-esteem, from experiencing trauma or social isolation. So you have a big need to actually have affection, to
be
be
loved.
loved. And it manifests in a way that you have a delusion about it.
Oh, goodness,
that
so
you
it's
feel
almost the
secure.
opposite of being confident. Actually,
Yeah.
It
right?
is. It is.
Yeah.
It is the opposite of that.
Is it
The last
maybe-
part of it, you mentioned 3.
Yes, and then the last part is social. So I think we've all watched the kind of Disney movies, right, when we were a kid. And then you see Snow White
Guilty.
waiting to be saved by a prince. And then there's Cinderella, who has a prince obsessing over her from her shoe.
Right.
And so those are actually things that kind of affect us and make us think that, maybe I'm going to experience that too.
Where's my white knight,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
So our social factors are embedding these kind of beliefs in ourselves.
And actually, I think the entertainment industry kind of like exploits
Very
that
much.
part of us, right? I mean, Chris Martin looking at you and then, winking at you saying, I love Indonesia. Oh, Indonesia, that's me, right?
That's right. Yes. Yes, because I represent Indonesia, so you're talking to me.
Exactly. And it's even, to an extent where, you can video call like some of the
Right.
K-pop artists now or
That's
whatnot.
right.
And that makes it like, we only talked for 30 seconds, but I'm sure she's in love with me.
Wait, so
Yes.
sorry to add on to this, but does that actually make it worse? Because nowadays celebrities, because of social media
Yeah.
or OnlyFans or all these things, are becoming more accessible.
Yeah.
Yes, it actually makes it worse because it's harder for us to kind of deny or tell this person that
Yeah.
what they're thinking is not real.
Yeah.
Even though they have a delusion and they will always say that what they're thinking is real,
Yeah.
it's even harder and harder to treat them.
Yeah, I think like it's to differentiate what is real and what is not real,
Yeah.
right? We've seen a lot of right now celebrities or musicians right here in Indonesia would say, happy birthday, let's say happy birthday,
Yeah.
Caroline. And you were like, oh my gosh, like my birthday. Which maybe it was just because someone that knows the celebrity says happy birthday, want to give it to you as a present.
Right.
If someone is not mentally healthy, they would think, oh, then you would, probably like me and whatnot. It's just, you would, touch base on Disney, yes.
Yes.
I'm very guilty of that. And then when I, enter my marriage life, then I realize it is not happily ever after. It is a new beginning of if a roller coaster ride.
It's
it turns
real
out.
life,
Yeah, so
basically.
it's very different than that. So how can someone, I would not say them or the one that has this condition, erotomania, knows the symptoms because they're delusions.
Yes.
But then it's the people, like the support system that needs to know what kind of symptoms that we should see from a friend, from a loved ones, a colleague that we should see as an alert that we need to take them to a professional.
Okay. So I think what we've been talking about has actually been quite like daily things, like, going to a concert, having an artist or celebrity say happy birthday to you. But the people experiencing erotomania have it quite more extreme than that.
Okay.
So they're the kind of people who stalk the celebrities, are waiting downstairs, of their apartment.
Yes.
And it's like, I think it was like Queen Elizabeth had like a stalker that literally lived like behind there, and not really lived, he was just like waiting
There.
there for 10 years until he died.
10
Yeah, so it was really, it's really extreme. And if you're somebody close to them, it's basically, you can see that their behaviors, it's like they're obsessed and it's almost compulsive. Like they cannot not do it.
Can't control
Okay.
They can't control themselves. So they really they have to go to work? No, they go to the concert.
Okay.
They have to go to work? No, they go see, wherever this person is.
Yeah.
So it's quite extreme, and I'm pretty sure you will notice it quite soon. And when you talk to them, you really understand that, oh, they really, really believe that this person is in love with them. It's like they don't even follow you back on Instagram. How can you think that, right? So you can see this quite obviously. I mean, among the other disorders, this one is quite like easy to spot.
Unique.
Destructive too.
You know the reason they don't follow me back on Instagram is because they don't want to make it too obvious. Only for me.
Yeah.
See, that's the kind of thing they say to justify it. I'm getting it.
Yeah.
Okay, so the tricky part about dealing with somebody who's delusional is that it's very hard to convince them, like you said, that you do have this condition. So apart from, and I would say that taking them to a professional is one challenge within itself, but getting once they're there, it may be a challenge presented to the person that has to help them. So how do you deal with somebody who has erotomania?
Well, usually the first thing is they do need to take medications because again, I said it's also a biological thing, right? They need
what does the medication do?
Antipsychotics, and that helps lower the level of delusion that they have.
Puts them more in touch with reality. I've heard of this.
Yeah. So once you do that, then you can go to therapy. But before that, it's like you're not going to listen to anything the therapist says.
Yeah.
And once you go into therapy, then you can have the cognitive behavior therapy, where basically they kind of list down all of your irrational beliefs and then tell you, okay, this one is not right because of this, and then you're kind of like, okay, slowly but surely you have a better grasp of reality.
Yes. So I think it's going to be quite hard, especially snapping out, someone to reality back. Does this mean, because we've seen this especially increasing because of social media, especially of K-pop, by the way. I mean, we've seen a lot of this K-pop, huge fans. They're just so very fanatic. Do you think that there's one of the ways is for them to kind of lower themselves or kind of detach from social media, having a detox social media once in a while?
Well, I think it might help with the symptoms, but in order to kind of treat the disorder, that is not changing. That is not the same as going to a professional. Just by limiting your social media time.
Yeah.
It decreases the amount that maybe you're obsessing over them because you're not looking at their social media, and you're not thinking that the heart they gives on their caption is for you.
So there's less triggers, basically.
Yeah, there's less triggers, and that helps so that you maybe will not feel as stressed as usual, because what we haven't said is that erotomania, the people who experience this are actually very stressed out because sometimes they might have mood swings because they think, oh, why hasn't he posted today? Is he mad at me?
Oh my goodness.
To that extent.
To that extent.
Okay.
So it is very serious. I mean, I know we're like thinking it's kind of funny, but it really actually isn't.
It's actually kind of scary now that we're
discussing. It is really scary.
Because you don't know to what extent that they're going to do towards that person.
Yeah.
Nevertheless, this is someone
and
from
even
the
for
power
you
rank.
guys, because like David Letterman actually had someone stalking him who had erotomania.
Yeah. I also want to ask though, just an added question, P, sorry, excuse me about this. As parenting, because I think, kids nowadays, because there's, just social media, everything is, all information is just up in their face. How can we prevent this from our children?
I think the most important thing is actually having routine reality checks with your child, because you need to ask them like, oh, I know you really like, him or her or this band, but you know that this is, I mean, especially you're in the entertainment industry. The entertainment industry works like this. We monetize when people like us. We monetize when people, it's like, it's very much based on the attraction. So you have to be careful to understand that what they're showing is not exactly what's reality. I mean, they seem like they really like you, they say they love you and but they love their fandom, not you. And that is something you need to be quite, subtle about, not very harsh on them, but make sure from time to time that they have a grasp of reality.
That is such a really good point, because we throw the word love around so easily these days. In fact, it's in the shape of a heart. Everything is in the shape of a heart, whether you're replying to a WhatsApp message or if you just like somebody's post. So again, this can be very easily misinterpreted. One of the more disturbing things that you mentioned was the fact that one of the 3 factors was this is biological. Can somebody ever fully be cured of erotomania once they have it?
Well, this is actually something quite hard, because even though it happens suddenly to you, but it's actually chronic. So I think biologically, you will feel helped by having medication, but you will have to go to therapy routinely to make sure that it's all good and maintained, so that you don't have another relapse.
Was there like an age range when the symptoms are kind of like showing?
It's usually like from young adulthood. It starts there. I mean, the same as us starting to really have intense relationships.
Like after puberty, when you start having relationships.
Our children's almost...
Before you get married, because that's a reality check, right? So there you go. So just perhaps a couple of pointers about how you usually deal with somebody that has erotomania once they're in treatment.
I think the first thing, again, is make sure the biological factors are covered in, because, again, it's very hard to talk to anyone if they are completely full in on their delusion. And then the second thing is basically, first of all, we really need to list all of their beliefs, all of their behaviors, and know the consequences, because some of these things are illegal, right? So we need to make sure they understand all of that, and slowly also kind of touch the part where most likely they're feeling very lonely, right? Lonely, lack of self-esteem, not have any real friends, and try to touch on that part so that they can function as a normal human being and feel love like in a real way, not in a delusional way.
So would that be one of the things that you would suggest to a patient, for example, like form some real relationships, go out there and hang out with some people?
That's why it's also so good to have support groups of people who have erotomania. But the thing is, because they're in that delusion, not a lot of them get help, right? Because they don't think there's anything wrong with them.
That's right. And then, to take away, just set aside from the groups of like the K-pop fandom or any celebrity fandom, because you will feel the same, right? So you need to detach yourself from that.
Yeah.
But again, this is a no-joke condition, definitely, because it is disrupting, and it's gonna disrupt also your loved ones, your community, and your life. So hopefully that if you know that your loved ones or someone that have this certain condition,
get them help.
Get some help, yes, indeed. And have a good friends, because good friends will always be there through the good and bad and all those poor times. Anyways, thank you very much, Mutiara, for being here with us.
So much.
It is such a lovely discussion, by the way. We gain a lot of knowledge and information in regards to this condition. But right now, we're up for another break. When we return, we'll have more updates, including the world headlines. So go anywhere.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.